Hey there, namaste. Thanks for checking back in. My name's Crispy Bhagat Singh, and this is part 2 of my Darsana, or perspective, on Hatha Yoga. So, yesterday we talked about Surya. Today is the complement, Chandra. Chandra, the beautiful feminine, the moon energy. And today's a great day to talk about it because, if you're paying any attention, it's Supermoon Saturday. Supermoon Saturday. It's always a supermoon. What does that mean? Supermoon is the time when, due to our cycle, rotation around the sun, and then the similar rotation of the moon around the earth, and the kind of elliptical nature of these orbits, the semi-uncircular pattern, there's a point, apogee at the farthest and perigee at the closest, and this is what's happening is the moon is physically closest to the earth when it's coming to its fullness, and so it's going to look super big, supermoon. Why do we talk about that? Because, believe it or not, the moon has an enormous amount of effect on the earth and all kinds of fluid and liquid things. The tides rise and the internal tides rise with people. In the plants, the sap comes from the ground up into the blooms during the fullness of the moon. So there's this physiological effect we see, physical effect, and that has a lot of psychological and emotional and spiritual effects. The moon is not a source of illumination, but it shines, and so it shines with reflective power. It takes that creative power of Surya, and then it cools it and calms it and reflects it back so that we have a time to sit with it, think about it. Contemplation, meditation, these are qualities of the moon center. The moon center is also a place where we go to soften, to find the mother energy, the feminine, the receptive, the comforting. Caregiving even. The moon is always moving, always changing, and so it's a really strong signal from nature about our internal natural being, our physical being in this world. The moon appears to come from nothingness into this thin sliver, and then as it waxes and moves and grows and comes to its fullness, it follows the natural trajectory of other things we watch. Once it gets to its fullness, it begins to wane and diminish and fall off and then disappear, but seemingly to arise again. And so moon, this beautiful reminder of the cyclical nature of life and how things around us are always in that constant ebb and flow, the wax and wane. And rather than having to be fire and creative, oftentimes we can be contemplative and centered, smooth and fluid, going with the flow, staying really sensitive to the natural energies around us and allowing things to happen that we process versus processing the things that are happening to us. So the moon, Chandra, or Diana in the other myth, it's just a nice, beautiful personification of the female energy, the receptive, the fluid. And so Surya on the one hand, actually Surya on the one hand and Chandra on the other hand, this begins to explain this concept of yoga as I believe it, the darshana of linking versus union. I don't intend for the sun and the moon to become the same, but I do know that there's that fiery, gassy star and that cool, solid rock, and those two things coming together can form a yoga. So that's part 2. Tune in tomorrow and I'll try to bring it together for you. Thanks and praise. Namaste.